Coming up next on Locked On Devils, best weekend ever. Roll the intro.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Devils your first listen every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And every game, every night, until a new Stanley Cup champion is crowned. For your second listen, check out all of the new Locked On NHL game night episodes. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you may listen to podcasts. What a day, what a weekend, what a time to be a New Jersey Devils fan. One of the most memorable weekends in recent franchise history. I'm having fun. My name is Zach Berman. I hope you're having fun as well. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Dude, what a weekend it was. What is it? Monday, October 27th. If the setting looks different, I am actually sitting in my brother's kitchen in Philadelphia. Shout out Matt, best baker on the planet. If I lived with him, I'd be 60 pounds heavier. But yeah, no, this kid makes some killer banana bread. But like I've already said, this is Locked On Devils. And for the first time since the Sorry Lindy streak in 2022, the Devils have won 8 straight games. They are in first place in the entire NHL as of today. They have 16 points, which is tied with Utah. How about the Mammoth? 7 straight wins since they unveiled their new mascot, Tusky. But the Devils have the edge in points percentage, and things are feeling great right now. The Devils 3 points up on the second place Pittsburgh Penguins in the Metropolitan Division. Yeah, I cannot believe the Penguins are second in the Metro over Carolina. Carolina and Washington both tied for third. Islanders in a fourth place tie with Philadelphia. Isles, based off of point percentage, have the second wild card right now. We're talking about this way too early, aren't we? Actually, I take that back because the Rangers are tied for dead last in the entire East. The only teams that are worse than them in points percentage are the St. Louis Blues, the San Jose Sharks, and the Calgary Flames. And guess what? The Rangers lost to both San Jose and Calgary within the last 4 or 5 days. Shout out former Devils, Yegor Sharangovich, Blake Coleman, and Kevin Ball, all scoring on the Rangers last night at the Saddle Dome. Yes, the Rangers lost to the Flames. That's cool. That's wonderful. But we're not here to talk about that. Let me be a hater for like 30 seconds. Okay, let's get into the good stuff. So, the way I felt about Friday night's game against the Sharks, and we will talk about Friday's game, we will talk about yesterday's game, and then we will talk about some of the injury news and just how to stay humble when things are going so well. Because they're not going to go 81-1. We know that, right? I guess some people may still believe that. You always go back to that one Mike Francesa call. Oh, can the Yankees go 162-0? No, they can't, and the Devils cannot go 81-1. Now, I guess back to what I was saying. Friday night, that game to me was going to say a lot. They were coming in having won 6 straight against a team that historically they've played down to, especially at home. San Jose was coming off of a dramatic overtime win at the Garden. They're young, they're fast, they have no defense, but they can pepper you with shots. Macklin Celebrini looks like he is going to be a generational superstar. Won the game in overtime again last night in Minnesota. gosh, he is so much fun to watch. But the Devils, like I've said, have struggled with San Jose. At times, they have struggled to play down to competition in the past. And even though they had beaten Tampa and Florida and Edmonton and Toronto and Minnesota on this streak, how they handled San Jose, to me, was going to tell me more about this team, for better or for worse, than any of the previous games in the win streak. And to start, I think a lot of people had that, here we go again, because right out of the gate, the 21 consecutive penalty kill streak that was coming into that game ends 2 minutes, 25 seconds in. William Eklund, power play goal, assisted by none other than Macklin Celebrini after Nico Hischier. Oh no, he committed a trip. There goes the Selke. Out of the way. Oh, who am I kidding? But the Devils surrender a power play goal for the first time since opening night. They lead Sharks lead 1-0. And then from that point forth, it was just an absolute display of shot after shot after shot on net. And Yaroslav Askarov, who I said was going to come out and look like prime Dominic Hasek, did just that. He had a save on Nico Hischier on a Devils power play where it's a cross crease pass. He stretches with the pad. With the blocker. I'm going to use these bananas because they're right here. Holds the blocker out. Somehow gets his blocker pad on the puck, deflects it out of play. I was up in section 133, I think, that night, and I was looking at the people next to me, and there was a girl next to me. She's like, "How do we keep playing down to the Sharks?" I mean, at that point, they weren't playing down to the Sharks. They were getting goalied. And just like they did last year with Mackenzie Blackwood, you'll hear his name a lot in this show in the next day or two, they could not solve Yaroslav Askarov. Well, nobody on the Devils could, except for one man. Go to the second period. Devils go into the second on the power play, and Dougie D. Admin, a.k.a. Douglas Hamilton. Power play goal ties the game at 1. And it felt like for a moment that the tension had been lifted. And that immediately goes away because the Devils allow a breakaway and San Jose scores. Or so we thought. Turns out Alex Wenberg was hilariously offsides. So offsides that even Kelly Sutherland's crew wasn't going to mess that up. Gets waved off, as Lindy Ruff would always say, no goal. And we stick 1-1. Later in the second period, on the power play, Dougie Hamilton strikes again. This one should have been stopped by Yaroslav Askarov, but I think he owed the Devils one after the way he stood on his head the entirety of the game. Devils take a 2-1 lead into the second intermission. And after a first period where San Jose came out fiery and fast, and they scored the opening goal, and the Devils were having trouble with the speed of the San Jose Sharks. Second period, the Devils outshoot the Sharks 13-0. Nothing. They got no shots on net in the second period. It was awesome. A complete flexing of the defensive muscles by the New Jersey Devils. And then the third period rolls around. And now San Jose, a young, hungry team, desperately to climb back into the standings. They come out and are giving the Devils work. But Jake the Snake, Jake Allen, holds the fort down, has a couple big stops Colin Graff on a breakaway late in the third period. Connor Brown gets the empty netter. Devils win 3-1. They went from 6-7. I know. I already did that joke last week. You can boo me here. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I know. I'm embarrassed too. 3 stars of the game were Dougie Hamilton, 1, Nico Hischier, 3 assists. He was awesome. Again, Yaroslav Askarov with just an outstanding day. Stopped 27 out of 29 double shots. Really kept the game close. And yet, I did not feel that the Devils played their best hockey on Friday night. I felt that it was a C+ game from the Devils. And I mentioned it leaving the Rock on my little post-game quick hitter. The mark of a great team is when you don't play your best hockey and you find a way to win anyway. Because last year, the Devils would have their games where they would not play their best hockey and more often than not would not come away with 2 points. Friday night they did. And it was awesome to witness. Now, bear in mind, up until that point, I had been in the building for every game on every home game on the Devils schedule. And that is why, because I've been in Philly for about a day, couldn't go to the game yesterday, I predicted them to win on Friday night and then lose yesterday's game to Colorado. Great team coming in. I wasn't going to be in the building, so you could blame me if they lose. We'll talk about what happened in yesterday's Devils Avalanche contest, which, if you're a Giants fan, I hope you were watching instead of the Giants. If you're a Jets fan, well, congratulations to you. Finally got a win. Also, rest in peace, Nick Mangold. But we'll break down Devils Avs after take a little breather here on Locked On Devils. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked On Devils, we've gotten through Friday's game. Let's talk the Sunday matinee yesterday afternoon between two of the best teams in the National Hockey League, the New Jersey Devils and the Colorado Avalanche. Avalanche now 5-1-4. It's good for 14 points. Second in the entire Western Conference right after the Utah Mammoth. The other team, the Devils, are streaking alongside. So congratulations to the Mammoth. Wonder whose streak ends first. You can probably bet on that on FanDuel. But if you can't, I don't know. You could figure a way out. But Colorado, of course, a bona fide Stanley Cup contender. Avalanche came in on the second half of a back-to-back after losing to a bad Bruins team in Boston 3-2. No Mackenzie Blackwood yesterday. I don't think he made the road trip per Jared Bednar. So it would be I keep on getting Trent Miner and Brandon Busey of the Carolina Hurricanes mixed up. I could not explain. Maybe it's because Busey played in the Hurricanes Avalanche game. Trent Miner of the Avalanche started in net for Colorado, who is from Brandon, Manitoba. Former 7th round pick by the Avalanche in 2019. And he was in net for Colorado. Jake Allen was in for the Devils. Two teams loaded with high-end talent and depth. And it was a pretty even hockey game. Both teams had 24 shots apiece on net. Colorado only out-hit the Devils 22-20. The Devils blocked 3 more shots than Colorado, 20-17. Colorado had 1 more giveaway than the Devils. And the Devils won slightly more faceoffs, 30 to Colorado's 27. Neither team converted on the power play. It was a dead even game between 2 Stanley Cup contenders, and that showed because for the first time all year, a Devils game went past 60 minutes to decide a winner. And I guess I'll keep you the suspense. First and foremost, big surprise. Jacob Markstrom was the backup goalie in this game. Markstrom's been out with a lower body injury he sustained in game number 3 in Columbus. Jake Allen, of course, did start for the Devils. Who's Brandon? Not Brandon Busey again. Nico Dawes had his 1 game where he helped the Devils beat the Minnesota Wild. Now he has been sent back down to Utica. So thank you, Nico Dawes, for picking up the slack while Marky's been out. And let's jump right into this, shall we? First period, it was really a tale of 10 minutes for each side. Actually, for the Devils, you could say it was a tale of 39 seconds because 9 minutes and 9 seconds into the first, Timo Meier along the boards, beautiful backhand no-look feed into the slot. Arseny Griciuk skate to stick to back of the net as he beats Trent Miner. Devils go up 1-0, and 39 seconds later, Jack Hughes on the wrist shot beats Miner on the rush. Probably one Miner would like to have back. Jack would have his 7th goal of the year in the Devils. Devils had won 7 straight. Jack had 7 goals to that point. It was cool. Now, why am I? You know where I'm getting to. But how do we get there? Well, we got to talk about how Colorado tied the game first. Val Nichushkin picks up a juicy rebound from Jake Allen after a shot by Cale Makar, deposits the biscuit into the basket, Avalanche on the board, and then 5 minutes later, got to do a little bit of a Avalanche TV guy. Nathan MacKinnon ties the game at 2, poking a shot that snuck behind Jake Allen. Home, Arturi Lehkonen took the initial shot. McKinnon cleans up the loose change. His 7th goal of the season. Tie game 2-2. Now, of note, Brett Pesce of the New Jersey Devils, possibly the team's best defensive defenseman, took a stick up high. The replay's all over Twitter. If you want to find it, it's not that hard to find. Would leave the game and did not return. Sheldon Keefe said that Pesce was not great post-game. His words. I have heard it was an eye injury, which you don't love to hear. Hopefully it's nothing significant. At the very least, he will not be going on the West Coast swing. So Seamus Casey has been called up from Utica. Excited to see Casey, but of course, team defense is going to take a hit without Pesce's involvement. So that stinks. But on the bright side, Shimon Nemec had a great day defensively for the Devils and a great day offensively for the Devils as well. Nemec had 3 assists. Look at that. And unfortunately, one really bad play that we'll get to in a minute that he ended up atoning for. But before we get to that, second period, Devils get outshot 9-3 in the middle frame. Jake Allen stood tall, and New Jersey had one prime opportunity all period, and they buried it. Connor How Now Brown Cow on a breakaway. How awesome has he been? That's his 5th goal of the season. Beats Trent Miner on the clean break. Devils take the lead 3-2, and that would send us to the third period. Now, in the third period, Unfortunately for New Jersey, it is still Brocktober. Former New York Islander Brock Nelson off a nice feed from Robbinsville, New Jersey native Ross Colton on a lazy play by Shimon Nemec, where it just felt like that. It kind of felt like he gave up on it. And Sam Malinsky beat him to the puck in the corner, finds Colton alongside of the net, and then he sends it right in front of the slot to Nelson, puts it home, ties the game at 3. Devils had a couple cracks towards the end of regulation to beat Trent Miner. They could not do so. And for the first time all year, we would require overtime to solve this contest. And if you are a hockey fan, Devils Avalanche 3-on-3, that is a dream come true. You have Cale Makar, Marty Necas, Nathan McKinnon on one side of the ice. On the other side, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Luke Hughes. So much high-end talent with speed and finesse and finish. You knew this game wasn't going to get to a shootout, right? Devils stinking shootouts, so thank God it didn't. The Devils dominated overtime, had all 2 shots on net from either team. And guess what? Only one of those shots mattered because it was the shot that ended the hockey game. Jack flippin' flappin' Hughes. People pay to see me play. Oh my goodness. What he did on this play was ridiculous, ridiculous. I could not believe it. Brings the puck in, dangles past Marty Necas, dangles past Cale Makar, and then puts the backhand high over the net. Got a nice big from Ken Danico. And here comes atonement time for Shimon Nemec. Because the puck is behind the net, goes to the corner. It winds up back on the stick of Nemec, who takes it away from Cale Makar, spots Jack Hughes all alone just past the right circle. He waits, and he puts it high right corner over Brandon Miner under the... I called him Brandon Miner again. He puts it high right corner over the right shoulder of Trent Miner from Brandon, Manitoba. Wins the game in overtime. The New Jersey Devils have won 8 consecutive hockey games, and it was pandemonium at the Prudential Center. I was watching this game while I was charging my car in Pennsylvania at a Starbucks, and everybody looked at me when I jumped up after that overtime goal. It was electric. It was awesome. One of my favorite Devils regular season wins in a while. And it has put a smile on my face that, as you can tell, has not gone away, even despite my Missouri Tigers losing in heartbreaking fashion on a Hail Mary that fell a yard short, even despite the New York Giants losing to the Philadelphia Eagles and Cam Scatterboot dislocating his ankle. Nothing can bring me down right now. And if you're a Devils fan, you should feel the same way. We're going to take another break. When we return, just got to stay hungry, stay humble. Isn't that always the way it needs to be in hockey? Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. The Devils are going on a West Coast swing. If you want to follow them to Denver or anywhere in the state of California, guess what? You can use Game Time to grab seats for any of those games, and it couldn't be simpler. You will have great seats in minutes. Plus, you will be able to see exactly what your view looked like before you buy the tickets with their in-seat app viewer feature. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you can save big with their zone deals. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That is code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. Wrapping things up here on Locked On Devils. Of course, the Diablos have won 8 consecutive games. I didn't roll the applause clip, so yeah. We can give it up for the Devils. What a fun weekend. But like I said, at some point in time, adversity is going to hit. It has hit with the Brett Pesce injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. Like I've said, I've heard it's an eye, which could be at best a few weeks. At worst, it could be a lot more than that. So the Devils are going to have to find a way to hold from defensive breakdowns. It's going to put more on Shimon Nemec, more on Brendan Dillon, more on Jonas Siegenthaler, Seamus Casey. I don't know if his minutes are going to be sheltered or not. I'm thankful it's Casey and not Dennis Cholowski, because we all know Cholowski's not a very good hockey player. He exists. I think that's the nicest thing I can say about Dennis Cholowski's presence on the New Jersey Devils roster. But with that, Jacob Markstrom will also be back sometime this week. I think, and I don't know for sure what Sheldon Keefe is planning on doing with the goalie splits here on this West Coast swing. I would want to say Jake Allen gets to start again on Tuesday, or should I say tomorrow night in Denver. And that would set up Markstrom for a return in San Jose on Thursday night. I feel like the West Coast swing, whichever one comes first, either California, in this case, California and Colorado, or the Western Canada swing, usually comes around this time of year and usually tells us a lot about what this team's flaws are. And look, I would love to go in and say they're going to win all 4 of these games. That's not going to happen. I think the goal is to get 4 points. You've already built yourself a nice cushion to allow for the inevitable losses that are going to happen. But I think you need to win 4 points worth of games. And the back-to-back in Southern California, the LA and Anaheim back-to-back, that is going to be tough. Anaheim has had their number, especially at the Honda Center as of late. LA is starting to bounce back. They had a rough first week or so of the season. I like how the Devils match up with the Kings. We'll preview that game, of course, later in the week. I think the roadmap to the 2 games you should win are Kings and Sharks, considering that the Anaheim game is on the second half of a back-to-back. Colorado, I think it's a really tough expectation to sweep a team like that, especially because the Avalanche are going to be a little bit ticked off after losing back-to-back games, especially in the fashion that they lost both Saturday's and yesterday's game. But you really you hope for health, and you hope for just treading water, because West Coast swing, always tough. You've won 8 straight. How high can the streak climb? Only the Devils know the answer to that question. Right now, with this team firing on all cylinders, the sky is the limit. So we shall see. Tomorrow, I will actually be flying to San Jose, or should I say the San Francisco Bay Area tomorrow. So not sure where the recording is going to be from. Might even be from the airport for all we know. But I will break down the rematch of Devils Avs tomorrow. Can the Devils get the streak to 9? We'll talk about that and more tomorrow on Locked On Devils. Thank you for tuning in. Best fans in the world. Appreciate all the support, and let's go Devils.